September is drawing to a close here in North Cornwall, and things are changing. The clouds are moving faster in the skies above us, and they have a northerly direction, which means the temperature is dropping and things are becoming colder. The woods are changing, and there is definitely a feel colder weather is on its way. So welcome back, and you find me out on the trail. I'm going for a small little hike, and it's going to stop by a little nature reserve in my local area. It's not well trodden, it's very underused, not many people know about it. It's pretty hidden and secluded, quite simply by the fact you can't really get to it easily due to the single track rural roads, and they do hold a lot of traffic back. And indeed, there's only parking space for a couple cars there when you get there, and there's no parking other than that. So they remain pretty much unused, untouched, just by a few local people. But a well-known wildlife organisation does actually own it now and manage it after the land was donated to them. So I'm going to take you along and we'll have a look how autumn here is progressing in North Cornwall. So I'm just coming up a track which you can see behind me, and I'm going to turn onto a lane. It's quite a difference for me because of having a slight little knee injury. I haven't done much in the way of long hikes, but here I am, and I'm going to head down a lane, and all I have with me is my phone, a little pocket knife, a flask of coffee, and my jacket, and the wind obviously. But my jacket actually smells of campfire smoke, which is nice, but it does signify that it does need to actually go and get washed. I'm looking back up this road, and it's quite a steep road. It descends between this little cleft in a valley, and you can just see the odd leaf fluttering down, and you know, that is the first indications. This oak tree is holding on to its acorns, but it does have a lot of them on the road and in pretty good condition. I've planted mine that I harvested the other day, even though I was coming up a bit of a blank with quality ones, but as you can see they are still about, but this valley is quite sheltered, so it should be a little bit behind the areas I was in on the high ground the other day. Even though we've had rain, the rivers are still not yet swollen to their full capacity and beyond. You can still see the water rushing over the low level stones. It'll probably be a month or two before these rivers are actually in full force and flood. It still has that peaceful calm about the river at the moment. This Sycamore Sapling has just started to change colour, or it's well underway actually. There's a lot of yellow on those leaves, some of them are completely yellow, and it's brown on the edges and starting to go. And if you look down here at the side of the verge of the road, you can see a lot of fresh ones that have just come down. And here we have a hazel tree or sapling yet again doing just the same thing, beginning to change. We are well underway. We have a lot of beech nut casings here on the floor, and that's obviously because we have beech trees here just above me there, and the tree is still holding on to some, but the centre of the road is littered with them, and so are the verges. Everywhere in the hedges you can see decay and plants dying off, and they're making way for the plants that will sustain the hedgerow with greenery through the winter months now. But the hedgerows, along with the woodlands, are changing. Well, I've made it into the nature reserve, and there's a few meadows you've got to go through which belong to it, and they're sympathetically grazed, but the black clouds, if you look up there, are producing rain. So I'm just taking shelter under this tree here at the moment, and I'll continue up this path. But it's a case of dodging the showers today. Just walking along this track, I've just noticed this little sycamore, and he's well done for this year. The leaves aren't even waiting to touch the ground before they go black. It's actually doing it on the actual sapling itself. And I'll continue along the actual track. It is well signposted, and you can see where I've got to go. I've been here a few times. The actual grass has actually stopped growing as well. It's usually knee deep. You know, just a few weeks back it would have been knee deep, but since it's been grazed, it's actually stayed down, and that's an indication the grass isn't actually growing as fast. Well, compared to its companions, this sycamore tree, big one's beginning to go well before they are, even though they're starting to show signs. So by my indication, it looks like sycamore are the first ones in this little valley to be the ones to start to get ready to drop their leaves. This elderberry tree is actually still got quite a lot on it as coverage. The birds usually by now are having a bit of a feast on this autumn fruit. And there's still the odd late blackberry to be seen, although they're fast becoming past it. But I've collected my harvest for this year. Yeah, I'm going to sample one of these blackberries. They are a lot sweeter when it gets to the end of the actual season, but it's a very fine line between them being sweet and then starting to get to the point they're well and truly past their best. But these are still good. And it's like these elderberries, you know. Yeah, they're all ready to go if you wanted to harvest elderberries. Looking like that, a nice black colour with a nice little sheen on it. They're ready to go. Some more sloveberries on this blackthorn bush. They're still sort of here. I think they're just a little bit too inaccessible to wildlife to get them, so they'll have to wait for them to actually drop to the floor. But we need to head into here and get into the woodland part of this wildlife sanctuary. Nice squeaky gate. Bringing you around, and you can see the track we've just come up. This very gentle slope, but all these meadows do belong to this trust that manages this woodland. As I said, it was donated. and there's instantly a sense of calm, and we've got less wind. So I'm going to make my way down this track and have a look. But these actual blackthorn, the leaves have started to go. They're losing their leaves. Higher up they're still on there, but at the lower levels they've gone. So I actually have a sweet chestnut tree here, and it's kind of blocking my way a little bit. I'm going to have to duck under it, but I'll just show you quickly what it looks like. And yeah, it's can be confused with the horse chestnut as well. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. It looks like a furry ball of spikes. These spikes here are a little bit softer than the horse chestnut, because that's a hard leathery ball with really firm, short, stubby spikes. The fruit, as I'll show you inside here, if I can get in, is kind of like this. That's not as developed as it should be. It should be a bit fatter and a bit rounder and a lot browner, but this has come from a green one which has fallen off. But yeah, that's what it looks like, and we are going to have to duck under here and make our way up this track. The bracken beside this track I'm following is starting to go brown in large quantities, and that's where it's getting the most sun, which is able to determine the time of year and whatever clock it actually is running by, and it's sensing that it's basically time to die back, which is beginning to do so in large quantities here. We have an old tree there gone over, and we're looking at some oaks. Dropping down onto a nice pathway here, and I'm going under a nice big holly tree here, and you can see the berries starting to come and develop, and that is a real good indicator you're getting sort of midway into autumn. These leaves are round here quite simply because the holly tree doesn't actually feel that particularly threatened by predation by herbivores. The higher leaves can be round because that also aids in photosynthesis. But if you look down here at lower levels, you'll get the traditional spiky leaf, and that's because it's a lower leveled leaf and it's trying to fend off anything that might want to eat the tree and its leaves. Now that curious square box hanging from a tree is actually what they call a bat box, and I presume by that they go in, nest and make it a actual home. Obviously you're not going to see bats there this time of day, but it would be interesting to come here at night and see what kind of activity there is surrounding that bat box. This track just meanders down through the valley now till it reaches the water or a weir, and you can see where the sun is actually breaking through those clouds, and the clouds are pretty dark up there when they do go over. You're getting those nice warm patches of sunlight hitting the green, and like I said, that green, a lot of it's just beginning to go yellow, so there's a fair bit of contrast there. But I'm going to continue making my way down this track, and there is another bat box hanging up there. Like I said, it would be really nice to actually come here at dusk and dawn to see how much activity there is with bats there. We've got bird boxes there, as you can see, strapped to the tree there, but obviously there'd be no nesting taking place now. That's long since gone. And indeed, like I say, this woodland actually has well, hundreds of those bird boxes, and in this short area here, there's another one there. And yet again, I would be very interested to actually know any scientific figures on how successful these things are in the woods, like nesting boxes and, you know, bat boxes. I might try and find some information out myself, but if anybody out there does know how successful these sort of inventions are, I'd be well interested to know. And it's the usual story now. We've had some high winds, and as you can see, some branches have succumbed and they've already got decayed leaves on them. But it's autumn and winter. Any stress, disease or rotten limbs will come down. And you can see that the actual source of the actual tree just poking up there, and it's basically shattered from the inside out. All these hazel trees on these slopes were actually harvested or coppiced to make charcoal back in the day. So, you know, it may look totally natural now, but at one time this was a worked and managed area for industrial means, not just kept for wildlife. And we continue down. As you can see, these logs have been cut and managed. The trees, they haven't been extracted for any sort of like commercial purpose or fire logs. They're just left there, and I think the idea is to let them rot down to provide habitat for insects here. But there you go, you can see the evidence of management there. And there you go, just picked this leaf off the floor. Yet again another sycamore, and it's got that real kind of like tie-dye where it's got various different yellows, greens around the outside, browns, olives and blacks. And it's got like a kind of nature's very own kind of tie-dye. It looks quite nice actually. We have the sound of running water, and it sounds like quite a lot. But we did actually see the river, so you know, we know it's not going to be absolute Niagara Falls style, but it does sound like there is water. We've just had rains, like I say. Yeah, otters apparently frequent this area. I've never actually seen one here or on this river, but they are here. I've been told they're here, and information, you know, text information does say they are here. So, you know, wouldn't it be just nice if I actually got to see one? So by this gate mechanism here, which controls the water that goes down the leads, you can see obviously all the leaves that are dropping off the trees now, and all the seeds, twigs, and all the debris that happens through the autumn is beginning to collect here. But this is absolutely stunning here. But yeah, no otters yet. I'm now going to leave this weir and make my way through a top track. There is a track on the opposite side there by the weir if you cross over. But today I'm just going to take this track by the wall. This is just basically to kind of see how far the wood is going into autumn. And we will come back again to see how much further it's gone. So this is kind of a little bit of a look-see or a diary into how this woodland goes through its autumn period. So as we push on up through this track, it's evidently clear with the wet ground and the mulch of the leaves, and it is getting quite slippery. It is not summer tracks after all anymore, you know, where it's hard packed and baked. We're back to leaf, mulch and mud. So if you've got a set of welly boots, they may be just what you require from here on in. There is something actually quite tranquil about water, more so when it's raining, and you can just see the raindrops falling in the water themselves. It's not so pleasant getting wet, but just watching those raindrops hit the water and causing those little circles or ripples is very soothing. There's a remnants of hazelnuts everywhere around here. That's hardly surprising because I actually have, look at that eating mushroom. Something's eaten that. But yeah, I have a little grove of hazel. And we have to continue up through this track. And as if by magic, we come out of the woodland and we enter one of those little paddocks on another path. And it is for us to make our way back to the road now, then up through the lanes. So what did we actually learn from that little look around that woodland? Let's have a little discussion. Just out of curiosity, you can see where this patch of grass here has a lot of very small saplings coming up. In fact, they're small trees now, and that's happening throughout this paddock. And eventually, possibly in my lifetime, we might see this paddock shrink in size, because obviously they're not being managed and cut down, and these paddocks really in all intents and purposes they only just graze them. And yeah, I foresee these paddocks becoming part of that woodland in the near future, or in my lifetime. So basically, what have I learnt? Well, first thing is blatantly obvious to me. The woodlands I frequent higher up on the high ground, shall I say, they are actually in a further state of advancement into autumn than these low-lying woodlands. In fact, because this is such a sheltered valley, it's only really starting to touch this woodland, the onset of autumn. Like I said, we will come back and document this to see how it progresses. The berries, nuts, well, the last of the berries are going through, and already most of the nuts are shed off the trees. So, once that happens, the leaves follow relatively quickly. We've also learnt that in this particular area, it is the sycamore tree which is the first to start losing its leaves. And it would be interested to know, I'd be interested to know if they are the first to put their leaves out as well. But in any case, most of the trees now you can start to see little bits of curl, discoloration, and yeah, autumn is here. There's no doubt about it, and this woodland is feeling it, obviously. But like I said, it's not as far advanced as other woodlands. Well, I've stopped for a cup of coffee by a gateway, and I'm getting ready to climb out the valley, and it's all hills from here till I get to the very top, then it's flat back to mine. Hence I want to drink this up, so I'm not lugging it around, it's quite heavy. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed a little walk around a local nature reserve near mine, and you can just begin to see how autumn is beginning to descend on this low-lying woodland. Like I said, the higher ones I frequent, they're already, getting into that next stage of autumn. But we'll come back in 3 weeks' time, see where this one is, and then we'll come back when it's in full winter mode, no leaves, and it's what we would call a traditional winter woodland here in the UK. So I'll bring you along on those, and it'll just be fascinating to look back and see how it all develops. So yeah, this is Andy, and I'm going to make my way home. And I hope to see you guys out on the trail. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys again.